Hi, and welcome to Strap a Watch. I'm Michael Knapp with Knapp Leather. So part 2 of Leather Crafting 101. Last week, if I hope you saw that show, was on making 2 simple basic leather belts. And the reason I did that was I was trying to get you guys thinking about if you're making a leather watch strap, a very basic watch strap, it's super similar to the way I made those belts. And also the same types of tools and everything are going to be used today on this episode. And I'll rehash all of that and some other things that you're going to also need. So I've got a little bit of a list here of items. And of course, the first thing you're going to need is a watch, right? So you need a watch, and I'm going to be doing this just for one of my thrashing watches. It's a Timex Weekender Indiglo blue dial. So right here, that's the watch I'm going to be making the strap for. And if you look here on Amazon, the second thing you're going to need is some leather. And all I did was I went to Amazon and I typed in leather. And the second thing that popped up was all of these coming in different sizes. You can order these in different sizes. So just the smallest size is perfect for a watch strap. It's 6 by 12. And as you can see, I mean, it's less than $10. And you can choose whatever color you want. So since this is a blue dial, I ordered and got the 6 by 12 blue. Okay, so that's what this is right here. And so you're also going to need a buckle. All right, so here's the buckle that I have, and I ordered it, and this is in 18 millimeters. The lug widths on the watch are 20 millimeters. And also, remember, you're going to need a ruler. Just like last week you needed a ruler, you need a ruler this week as well, because what you need to do is you have to measure, the lug width, and that's just basic watch fitting for any type of a strap. So you're measuring inside the lug width right here, and that is 20 millimeters, okay? So I know I have a 20 millimeter lug width, and you're also going to be using this for the strap itself. And you need a piece of paper, you need a pencil, because we're going to draw out a template to be cutting the leather with. So a nice sharp pencil. You need a rivet set. I talked about that last week. That's how after we fold the leather over to hold in the lug pins in this case. Last week it was holding in the belt buckle and also holding in the buckle on the buckle end of this watch, because that's what's different about a watch strap as opposed to a belt, is you have 2 parts. Other than that, it's very basically the same thing. So a rivet set. And what's cool is inside the rivet set is a little punch hole, and we're going to be able to use this punch hole to also punch out the buckle holes on the point end of the strap. So you also need a hammer, okay, and it doesn't matter, just get a household hammer, that's fine. A cutting board, most of you probably have a cutting board inside your house. And a little cup of water, so we got some water right here. And some leather glue, okay. A sharp utility knife is perfect for this. I like these little quick release utility knives. That way you can just change out the blade so easily, and the blades are really cheap. You always have a really super sharp blade. So, and also a skiving knife. I showed this last week on last week's show as well. So the first thing we're going to do, remember, is measure the lug width on your watch. That's how we've got to start. And then recently, a couple weeks ago, I just did a sizing video on the strap length size for your wrist and your watch head. And what am I sporting today? I'm sporting the Mark from Long Island Watch. Another fellow YouTuber has his own watch line, the Islander watches. My Islander Aviator, so pretty cool watch. And this is going to be a little bit bigger of a lug span, but it's close enough. So I'll be able to use this. And if you saw that video, so simple. I use one of those bag ties for garbage bags. You could use a piece of string And the first thing that you measure is the buckle end, which is at the 12 o'clock position, going out from the 12 o'clock, and the point end always comes down from the 6 o'clock. Doesn't, regardless, right hand, left hand. Put one tip of that onto the lug pin, okay? And then bring that around to the exact middle of your wrist. You're doing this against really your skin. And then you pinch that and measure it on your millimeters, and that is at 85. And I always say subtract 5. So my buckle end is 80. We got to keep that in mind. And if I were you, what I'd be doing is writing this down. Buckle end equals 80. Now the other opposite end is the one that goes from the 6 o'clock position, and we go again right at the lug pin all the way around to the far corner right here of your wrist, okay? Right there, that's where you're going. So when I pull this out, I lay it down, that is at 120. So that's what I'm gonna keep, point end equals 120. Oh, another thing you need is a paper clip. I forgot to mention that. And what you want to do is basically straighten out one of the ends, just like that. Okay, you're going to use that to fold the leather over. That's going to be replacing what your lug pins would be. And then you can just pull this out, put your lug pin in. Very simple. Okay, so now we have our measurements. And we're going to take our ruler, and the first thing we're going to do is measure 20 millimeters at the base 2 times, okay? So 20 millimeters for the point end, move over a little bit, a few inches away, and 20 millimeters for the buckle end. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw a line, 120 millimeters for the point end up. So that's right there. Just do this very basically. Don't overthink anything here, guys. Okay? Boom. Just like that. And make sure you kind of get everything square. That's what you want. And then the other one is going to be 80. So 80. And if you have a little L square to be able to do this, to get things more square, hey, more power to you. I'm just trying to keep everything real basic, 20 millimeters. Okay, now, what I do with all my watch strap is I taper it down 2 millimeters to the buckle end, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. You don't have to do that. If you want to keep it really, really straight, you can kind of see my piece of paper right here. And the thing is, you got to remember, what you're going to need is another inch on each end to be able to fold over. So we keep that mark, and an inch you're talking about, oh, roughly another 25-ish millimeters. So 25, just like that. That'll be the fold over, okay? Both sides. 25, 25, and that'll be the fold over on the buckle end. So you're making it a little bit longer. If you want to keep it just a straight strap, then all you would be doing is just draw a little point right here, make it kind of symmetrical for yourself, and leave the buckle in like that, and this is how you would cut. Now I'm coming in 2 millimeters on a taper. You do not have to do this. In fact, I would probably recommend you don't. Just stick with this plan. I'll hold it up to this camera as well. So it would look just like that. 120 millimeters from here to here, another inch, 25 millimeters to fold it over. The buckle end, you need another 25 millimeters, and we're actually going to come out again at about another 25 millimeters on the other end. So it's a little bit longer to start than what you think. Okay, so 25, 25, and boom. So these will be folded over, okay? And the buckle holes, the way you do that, go up an inch from the tip, and you want to get it in the center, and just draw a little hole, a little dot right there. And then you can do this by centimeters. I would just do 1 centimeter at a time. Centimeter, 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 just like this. Okay? Simple. Really simple. So that's what it's looking like right there. All right? Pretty easy stuff. Show it on this camera. That's what it's looking like right there. Okay? So now, you can do a couple ways, but I've got my knife. All right, I got my trusty knife. And you're gonna cut this template out. So just go right along those straight edges and cut. Okay, real simple. It's not rocket science. But again, just keep everything really nice and simple. I think a lot of people, when they start leather crafting, they get overwhelmed and they make more out of it than they need to. And I'll tell you, I mean, even with myself, when I first started, I'll never forget getting the leather and being a little bit intimidated about even cutting into it. And don't be. I mean, if you mess up, you can always start over. It's no big deal. All right, no big deal at all. So here is the template. Put these up here. Get my trash out of here. But these are the templates. So should look just like that on the point end, and then on the buckle end it should look just like that. Then what we're gonna do, take our leather, real simple, and we do one at a time, and try and conserve your leather. So if you can go, if it got a straight edge, that one's not real straight. So, but you know, be smart about how you are interacting with your leather to cut it out, and just take your pencil and push down fairly firmly and trace out carefully the edge of the both templates, okay? Just like this. Just like that. And then you also are gonna mark where you're gonna fold. You can kind of go in underneath right there. So there's the buckle end. Here's the point end. Same thing. And that's why today, you know, I have all these templates, and you could just butt this one right up against, because you're gonna have a nice new clean edge here. And getting all the templates, and I'll tell you what, the templates I got recently are the best ones I've ever used. And it helps speed everything up, you know, for me. I'm so busy with watch strap orders, I can't tell you. And his name is Buzzard Brain Leather. Buzzard Brain Leather. He makes straps as well. He doesn't make any, you know, real, genuine American alligator straps that I'm aware of. But he does make templates. So he has an acrylic, it's probably a laser cutter, that he makes templates. And so Buzzard Brain on Etsy, Buzzard Brain. So then you just take your knife, nice and sharp knife, and cut right. And if you need to use a ruler, please feel free. I'm freehanding it because I'm pretty good at it. And just cut out where you traced out, okay? Both sides. So you're just even with the point in, you just follow your template. Go slow, apply pressure. And you're doing this on your cutting board, guys. Okay, you're doing this on your cutting board. And here's my... So, I just got this cutting board. I just bought this. I'm not even using it. I'm using my mat. But just to show you, you use your cutting board. Okay. Real easy. Easy peasy. That's what my grandma used to say. Easy peasy. Okay. So now, we've got our blanks. Dun dun dun. Simple. All right, put your leather aside. Now, you're taking your skiver, okay, your little skiving tool, and you don't skive down the point end. That's the only thing you don't need to skive down. But starting right about where you're going to be folding over, and I show you guys that, you know, where you're going to fold it over. I kind of made a little indent on each side. So, yeah, it's about 1 inch up. Remember, 25 millimeters or so. And these little blades fit in here, okay? And this is kind of an older blade. I probably should have changed it, but no big deal. And I think that's the bottom. No. It's got little logos on this cutting board I'm not really into, but hey, we gotta go with it. And what you're doing is hold down with one hand, a couple fingers, apply pressure, and you're pulling the skiver towards you and just feel that pressure. Ideally, you should be doing this on a hard surface, not the cutting board. I brought a piece of glass. So like an old mirror in your home, you know, a piece of glass, a piece of marble would be great. So here's the glass. Because when you're pulling it down on a cutting board, that rounded blade will just dig in, okay? It'll just dig in. So just pull towards you, and you're thinning the leather right here. That's what skiving is, thinning the leather. That's all that means. You're thinning the leather, and it'll come off as like little shavings, okay? See that? So that's all you're doing. Just like this. And you want to see how thin you got it and see how much you can fold over. So I definitely need some more. And you can go a little bit past that point because you're going to bend past that point, that inch up from the fold where you're going to fold everything over. Go a little bit past that with skiving underneath because you need to have it thin there for everything to fold over. Okay? This should be pretty good for this side. This is the point end I'm doing first. Doesn't matter which end. And yeah, it's nice and thin. So what'll happen, it'll start getting really frayed right there. And lay this down and get it to square. And just make sure you're cutting that nice and square. Okay, so it should look like that. It's all nice and clean now. All right, so, and you'll do the same thing with the buckle end, both sides on the buckle end. Real simple. Just take everything nice and slow when you're new, you know? I mean, I'm not the best teacher in the world. I'm a doer, I'm not a teacher. That's not my job, but I just thought this would be a fun project for any of you guys if you're getting into this, and you know, maybe you got a watch strap on a thrasher you want to replace, and because I'll tell you what, once you do this, you can start moving into some, you know, some more projects. And there's a lot of YouTubers out there that showcase leather working, how to hand saddle stitch leather, you know, what kind of needles you need, different types of threads that are available. I use what's called tiger thread. It's a synthetic thread, and the reason I use tiger thread is it's gonna last forever, and it is super strong. It's just super high quality. It's not cheap, I'll tell you what, it's not cheap at all, but it's the best synthetic I've seen out there. And the reason I've gone to synthetic, I know it's not the most what's called traditional of leather crafting, and some leather crafters out there, especially for watch straps, will be like, oh my God, you actually use a synthetic. Yes, why? The colors will hold forever, really, and the stitching will outlast the strap. You can't say that with anything that's a natural product. You just can't. So the next step is, now that we have everything skived, all right, and yeah, leather working is a little bit messy. It is. So just expect that. It's going to be a little bit messy. But you need to get your water, okay? And just like with the belt, remember I was talking about casing the belt to fold the leather over? So right where you're going to fold, you want to case it. You want to get it wet. So there will be 3 spots. 1 on the point end where you're going to fold, and 2 on the buckle end where you're going to fold. Let it soak in, all right? It's going to soak in. And I just apply and apply and apply and let it soak in. I give it a little time to soak in, okay? No big deal. So while that's doing that, we got to get our rivets out. All right, so we're going to get our rivet. And for the point end, we're going to need 2 rivets. And for the buckle end, we're actually going to need 6 rivets. Because the other thing I didn't tell you is we're also going to need to cut out a little keeper. And a keeper is, think about it as a 1/4 inch wide and at least, I would say, 4 inches long. So do that with your ruler. I'm doing this all by eye. I've made hundreds of watch straps, so I can do this. All right, so it should look like that. That'll be a keeper, okay? And what that'll do is fold over. We'll skive that also a little bit, make a little loop, and that'll go in and rivet into the buckle end, okay? So we need to get these little rivets out of your rivet kit. And depending on the color of your watch head, so my watch head is silver, right? And so I'm using the smallest silver rivets in my rivet kit, okay? So I'm getting 1, 2 for the point end. And let's do that side first, okay? So the water is cased in there. It'll fold over nicely without cracking. Yeah, looks good. Right about there. That feels perfect. And so what you're going to want to do is take your paper clip, and where you folded it over, it's going to fold over. I mean, let me see where it's at. Yeah, it's right about an inch. It's right about an inch. Not quite. I mean, let me see. Yeah, about 3/4 of an inch. About 3/4 of an inch. Stick your paper clip right there, okay? And that's where you're going to put your paper clip in, and you're going to glue this part. Okay, you're going to glue this. So, take a piece of paper so that you don't get glue everywhere. And I showcased last week some basic leather glue. And This is the glue that I use, but you can just use that very basic glue. And contact glue, which is what I'm using here, you need to do both sides. So just get it on there like this. Leave a gap where your lug pin goes through, okay? And this type needs to set up. Mine's a very fast drying glue, super fast. It takes just a few minutes. Some glues take up to 15-20 minutes. And so while that's going on, get your rivets out for the buckle in, and you're gonna need 6. 2 at the lug pins and 4 at the buckle, because you gotta rivet in to hold the buckle in and the keeper in. Okay, so there's 4 down there, just like the belts, okay? Real simple stuff. So while the glue was setting, all right, I put my paper clip in that middle part. Put my paper clip in that middle part, and then I just press down around that paper clip and really push. You can take your hammer and just kind of gently hammer that down so that the glue gets really good and made contact. Okay? So it should look just like that. All right? Just like that. Easy peasy. So then the next thing you're gonna do, take your cutting board, again, lay it down, and inside your rivet set is one of these little punches, okay? And you can do this by eye. I mean, you can measure this out. What I do is I do it by eye, and I kind of get up a little bit close to the pin for the lug pin. Not real close, maybe about 7 millimeters away. And I just kind of eyeball it, and I move it until, to me, I make indents until they're in about the same position. That's how I do it. Just keeping everything real simple. And then you take your hammer and you hammer through, okay? Just like that. So now you got 2 little holes there. See that? 2 little holes. And the way you do rivets, it's real simple. So the long end goes from the bottom up. And these are called double cap rivets. They actually snap into place. They're really pretty handy. And so I usually put the rivets in first, lay it down on a good hard surface, put my caps on. These are a little bit long rivets for this. I would probably actually want a little bit shorter. They might move off to the side. That happens if you get too long. They'll kind of crimp over. But again, we're just trying to keep a real simple, basic strap here. Just like that. And then the other thing is inside your kit, you have a little rivet setter. And all you do is you hold it firmly. There's a concave side. Hold it firmly on top of the rivet and give it 2 good whacks. 1, 2. And then the other one, same thing. 1, 2. Just like that. And there you go. Then you can put your lug pin through there. So the next thing, remember, take your template on your point end, lay it down on your strap, take your pencil, it's nice and sharp, and just poke through those holes. Apply some pressure. And then take your little punch that we just did with the rivets and go right over the top of those holes and punch a hole through the leather. Just like this. It's fun. It's relaxing. For me, I mean, it's a major stress reliever. I just love it. I really do. Love working with leather. So how basic can you get? Already done with the point end. So then we'll do the same exact thing with the buckle end. Everything's cased. So the first thing we're going to do is get our piece of paper to glue. And we'll glue first the lug pin end. We'll get that side done just like what we did here with the point end. And the next thing we want to do is take our point end and we're going to fold over the buckle end. We're going to put our keeper in there. We're going to bring it around and we want it to be where it's kind of snug into the point end, but allowing it to get in there. So we're just kind of seeing how much we have to cut and how much we have to scribe. So I'll tell you, that's right about right. What I'm going to do is just cut a little bit off on each end, and then I'm going to skive the top of one side. At the end, and the bottom of the other side. And that's the, you know, say if it's 20 millimeters right there, what we're doing is about 18, okay? Keeping it coming in about 2 millimeters. So you're gonna take some glue, and on both sides you just skived, put on a little bit of the leather glue, okay? Just like this. Let it set up a minute. And then we're also gonna glue where we're gonna fold over the leather for the buckle end, all right? Just real simple stuff. We're gonna fold our keeper where we kind of measured. Right there. So one of the tricks that you can do is rivet this actually right there, okay? So let's do that. Take our little punch a little hole right, so you're gonna have to kind of move this. You can see that right there on this camera. Take your hammer. Make sure you get it all the way through. Just like that, okay? And rivet that baby together. So come up from the bottom, put on a cap. What's nice about these caps is they'll actually snap into place. And you gotta kind of move the top part of that leather off to the side and get it where you're nice and straight. Couple good whacks. Yeah, those are a little big. And then what I also suggest, put a little glue on the bottom where you just riveted, and on the inside there, on the both rivets you just riveted. Let it sit for a minute. Close up my glue. And one of the tricks is just kind of fold that like you're rolling your tongue, okay? And you want to make sure you're getting it on the right side. That rivet is going to be sandwiched in between, okay? And what you need to do is leave enough space for your rivets on each side. And your buckle, right? So just like this, pinch everything together. Just like that. Take your riveter, take your little punch, and on both sides of the keeper, you're going to put in rivets, okay? So right here. But guess what? I mean, that's the strap. So I mean, check that out. That's the strap. That fast. That fast. Make sure the point end goes into the keeper, and it does. All right. So the next thing is getting the strap on the watch. So the last little bit is just get everything put on the watch. So you got your lug pins, put them through, and you need a tool, and it should come with your lug pin kit, but there's all kinds, and you know, this one looks like this. It's kind of a cheapo, but it'll work just fine. And what you do, remember, the point end is going from the 6 o'clock position, is get that, the watch head facing away from you. That's ideal. And get the bottom pin put in, and you're doing this always from the back side, the case side of the watch, not the dial side, but the back side. And there's two separate little tools that come in with your kit, and one is a little pin pusher, and then the other has a little groove, and just use whichever one you can to get it in there, and just like that. So I got one end in. Here is my other lug pin, and so I'm pushing that through from the back, so facing away, get it on the bottom one first. And if the leather's too thick right there, you're not able to get in it, just cut a little bit away so that it'll fit in between the lugs, okay? And then you got to put on your buckle. I got a buckle right here, brand new buckle. The other thing that we have to do is punch a little hole right here, okay, for the buckle, the tongue to fit through. So we need a little punch. We've got that punch from our kit. That'll do just fine. So we've got our little punch from our kit, and what you're doing is get it centered and leave a little bit off of the edge, okay? Get your hammer, and it'll look like that. You gotta take your pin out of your buckle, all right? And what you're gonna do is put it in about almost halfway, because we've got to get that little tongue in there, right? And until you see it, there it is. And you're going to push that tongue in there. And what I do, I just kind of use the cutting board as a press. And there you go, just like that. And so just like with the watch head, you just want to make sure that that tongue is sticking up. And again, you're doing everything from the bottom side. Get that in there. Oh, I missed. Feel around, you'll hear it click. And there you go. Just like that. Simple, easy peasy. So let me take off my Islander and I'm gonna put on. There you go. Cheap, functional, and strong. So just thank you so much for joining me today, you guys. I hope you got something out of this, and if you did, hit the like button. I really appreciate that. Like I said in the beginning of the show, we just hit 1,000 subscribers this past week, so that's kind of a milestone. And I've got a really special show for you guys next week. I just had purchased a watch, and I'm going to be showcasing that and unboxing it here on the channel next week. So again, if you're getting into leather crafting and you want to proceed and get a little bit more advanced, there's tons of YouTubers out there that showcase making leather. Again, I'm not the best teacher, but this was just a demonstration to show you guys and introduce you to leather crafting. So I hope you like it. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And until next time, God bless you all and keep on ticking.